And super interesting. And I guess, working in the bank industry is interesting, but also has some challenges, I guess. And, it's these kind of big companies. It's hard to perhaps, have a kind of innovative working environment. And you're basically driving the data-drivenness in SEB now, right?
Or very much sort of focused on machine learning and visualization. We have other people in the team that sort of do data management and data governance and data quality and all of those things. So we're more kind of the I don't know, creative support that can help to create some sort of business value.
But how has that journey been? I mean, you've been there 10 years. Do you think it's easier today to be more innovative, to be more data-driven, to use AI to a larger extent than previously?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for myself, when I was a fund manager, my colleague and I got frustrated that there was this sort of mantra going on that it costs like hundreds of millions of crowns to create AI systems, and we can never do that. Google is going to take over, or some other tech company, and we just need to I don't know, give up. Yeah. And so my colleague is also a fund manager, and we got a bit frustrated. We're both kind of math geeks. So then we built recommender engine just to showcase that it's actually possible to do. And we did
Skunk
that
work even.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. So we had something called the Innovation Lab inside the bank at the time. And that was kind of, you could come with an idea, you pitched it, and then you got I think 6 weeks plus 6 weeks to create something. And that's what we did. We signed up, and then we're we called it Sebflix.
Sebflix.
Yeah. And then I wanted to do much more sort of big data stuff. It was sort of starting to hype a little bit, and I said that I would really like to at least get some time to just do some research and start to analyze what the benefits would be. But I wasn't allowed to, because I was an index fund manager. So then I decided to do something different. And I realized that I like skiing. So initially I signed up to be the senior risk manager for private banking, because they have an office in Geneva.
The reasoning here is awesome.
I love it. Completely rational. Yeah. Skiing is better.
Yeah. But 6 months into that position, the head of counterparty risk modeling quit. And my friend and colleague asked me if I would be willing to apply for that position. And I somehow forgot about the skiing. And so then I started working with that. So it's sort of, counterparty risk is, you have to keep track of the derivatives portfolio of your clients. In case they go bankrupt, we need to know how much we need to repay. So it's kind of an inverse almost. And there's a lot of math in that, because there's a lot of Monte Carlo simulations.
You just don't put a minus sign before the other algo. It's like my friend, who did that. So it didn't work that well. But,
No. Yeah. And I mean, it's a very important part that we keep track of that risk in our portfolio.
Yeah. But can we be a little bit concrete on a couple of different levels now? Because I'm curious to understand how this works. Okay, your role right now as a group data scientist, how is this organized in SEB? Because I think a lot of enterprises trying to find their feet, how to look federated or not, and like this. So how does it work? A little bit more concrete.
So concretely, there's 11 people in my team, and we exist to support different parts of the bank when they have some data that they want us to look at.
Okay.
The sort of maturity level of different parts of the organization is very different.
Yeah, of course.
So in some parts we have kind of resident data scientists that already work in that part.
The more mature.
Yeah. And we might have some places where we have quants that could become data scientists within 6 months. And if they're interested, the kind of data science community is there for that purpose, so that we can find areas that people want to learn together, or have reading groups, or everything is possible. So so that's sort of organizationally, I think it works well in SEB. Because for me, what's kind of specific about SEB is that I think there's 15,000 employees, and I think that there's 15,000 entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So every single person has their own sort of idea of what we should be doing. And most of them are really, really engaged, really sort of energetic. And I think it's nothing makes me happier than when someone has a great idea, or just an idea. It doesn't have to be great. It's just like you have an idea, you voice it, and someone listens to you. That's very empowering. So in some areas, we have sort of completely self-driven strategies where they're doing data management and governance and everything themselves, and they're excelling. Other areas, we have people doing algorithmic sort of stuff. And if they get stuck, they can always contact us, and we have like a sounding board more. And then areas where they don't even know what the possibilities are.
So then you step in and be more active.
Yeah.
And how is this, who are you organized under? Or how, in SEB, how does it work? Where do you sit in the organization?
So I currently, I and the chief data officer and the sort of domain lead for data and processes, we report to Martin Johansson, who's a senior advisor to the CEO.
Okay, so you're not part of the IT organization as such, or is this part of IT? How does it work?
No, he's not. So we used to be part of technology, and I think in some sense we still are. But for me, it's very unclear where you should place the data scientists organization, because, and there, once again, I think it needs to depend on
the context of the company.
The context and the culture. Because I think data scientists are not tech people necessarily. I think data scientists are, in some cases, they should be much closer to business. And we have a lot of data scientists in the business divisions. And in some cases, it's almost like a machine learning engineer, but there's a gray zone. And there you could very well have some of them working in more of the technology division.
The classical Conway-Venn diagram here.
Yes, we talked about this quite a bit. The Conway diagram, if you go there first, and then understanding also data scientist, what's the difference between a machine learning engineer versus data scientist, advanced analytics versus MLOps. I think those small intricate differences is quite important to start to learn about, because it has impact on how we organize. So maybe which one we should, if you want to go there, or?
Yeah, just briefly, they have this classical Venn diagram that basically have three parts, which is the theoretical part, the engineering part, and some kind of domain expertise. And a data scientist needs to know everything, and there is no such person.
No.
And
we end up that we need cross-functional teams to excel, right?
Yeah.
And then how to organize this smartly, which is, of course, when we have nobody, it's maybe better to have them centrally, and then you can embed them more and more. But to embed a data scientist and they have no knowledge of how to use a data scientist is really hard.
Yeah.